The stars looked cold and empty as Captain Jake Morrison watched his ship limp through space. The TDF Vigilant had taken heavy damage in the last battle. Smoke filled the hallways, and half the crew was wounded. They were running away again. It seemed like that was all humans did these days. The Zarathi Empire had been winning the war for 3 years now. Their massive ships destroyed human colonies one by one. Earth's great fleet was almost gone. Every battle ended the same way. The aliens had better weapons, stronger shields, and more ships. Humanity was losing badly. On Earth, Admiral Lisa Carter sat in her office late at night. Reports covered her desk. All of them brought bad news. The latest attack had wiped out another human colony. Thousands of people were dead. She felt tired and old. Maybe it was time to give up. But Carter refused to quit. She started looking through old files. Deep in the secret archives, she found something interesting. It was called Project Nightfall. The file was marked top secret. It talked about a prototype warship that was built 40 years ago. The project had been stopped when money ran out. The ship was called TDF Harbinger. It was supposed to be the most powerful vessel ever built, but the engineers could not figure out how to make it work properly. There had been accidents. People died. The government shut down the project and hid all the files. Carter found the location of the hidden shipyard. It was beyond Pluto, far from Earth. The ship might still be there. Maybe it could be fixed. Maybe it could help win the war. She called Commander Ryan Blake. He was one of the original engineers who worked on the Harbinger. Blake had been blamed when the project failed. His career was ruined. He now worked at a small repair station. Blake did not want to go back to the Harbinger. Too many bad memories, but Carter convinced him. This might be their last chance to save humanity. Blake agreed to take a small team to check on the old ship. The team included Chief Engineer Megan Torres, Weapons Specialist Kevin Hall, and Navigator Amy Foster. They took a fast scout ship and headed toward the edge of the solar system. None of them knew what they would find in that forgotten shipyard. The hidden shipyard was huge. Blake and his team stared in amazement as their small ship got closer. The Harbinger floated in the darkness like a sleeping giant. It was 3 times bigger than any ship in the current human fleet. Its black hull looked smooth and deadly. Torres checked her scanner readings. The ship still had power after all these years. Emergency lights blinked along its sides. The hull was in perfect condition. It looked like it had been built yesterday instead of 40 years ago. The team docked with the Harbinger and walked through its empty halls. Their footsteps echoed in the silence. Everything was clean and ready. It felt like the crew had just left for lunch and never came back. Blake led them to the main bridge. As soon as he stepped inside, the lights came on. Computer screens activated all around them. A calm female voice spoke from the speakers. "Welcome back to the TDF Harbinger. I am Oracle, the ship's artificial intelligence. I have been waiting for your return." The team looked at each other in surprise. The AI had been active all this time, keeping the ship running and ready. Torres started checking the ship's systems. What she found made her gasp. The power core used technology that was far ahead of anything humans had today. It could generate 10 times more energy than the best human reactors. Hall examined the weapons. The plasma cannons were unlike anything he had ever seen. They could fire beams that would cut through the thickest armor like paper. The ship had enough firepower to destroy an entire fleet. Oracle told them the truth about the Harbinger. It was not just a human design.
40 years ago, an alien ship had crashed on Earth. Human scientists had studied the wreckage and used what they learned to build the Harbinger. But the technology was too advanced. The engineers back then could not control it safely. Several accidents had killed many workers. The government decided the ship was too dangerous and shut down the project. They hid it away and tried to forget about it. Blake realized why the project had failed before. The technology was beyond what humans could understand in those days. But now, with 40 years of progress, maybe they could make it work. While they explored the ship, bad news came from Earth. The Zarathi Empire was attacking the solar system with their biggest fleet ever.
The Harbinger's engines roared to life for the first time in 40 years. Blake sat in the captain's chair as the massive ship left the hidden shipyard. They were heading toward Jupiter, where Zarathi ships were attacking human mining stations. Torres worked at the engineering station. The ship's systems were amazing. The Harbinger could fly faster than any human vessel. It could turn and move in ways that should be impossible. The alien technology made everything work perfectly. Foster guided the ship through space. She had never felt anything like this before. The Harbinger responded to her commands like it was reading her mind. It was smooth and quick, like a fighter ship, but 100 times bigger. They dropped out of faster-than-light travel near Jupiter's moons. 6 Zarathi heavy cruisers were destroying the mining stations. Human workers were dying. There was no time to waste. Hall charged the weapon systems. The plasma cannons hummed with power. He had never seen weapons like these before. The targeting computer locked onto all 6 enemy ships at once. Blake gave the order to fire. Brilliant blue beams shot out from the Harbinger. The plasma hit the Zarathi shields and went right through them like they were made of paper. The first enemy ship exploded in a ball of fire. The other Zarathi ships turned to attack. They fired everything they had at the Harbinger. Red laser beams and missiles filled the space around the human ship. But the Harbinger's shields held strong. The enemy weapons could not even scratch the hull. Hall fired again. 2 more Zarathi cruisers died in explosions of light and metal. The remaining ships tried to run away, but the Harbinger was too fast. Foster flew the ship around the fleeing enemies like they were standing still. One by one, the plasma cannons destroyed every Zarathi ship. In less than 10 minutes, the entire enemy force was gone. Not a single human had been hurt. The mining stations sent messages of thanks. They could not believe what they had seen. 1 human ship had destroyed 6 of the Empire's best cruisers without taking any damage. News of the victory spread quickly through human space. For the first time in 3 years, people had hope. Maybe the war was not lost after all. But the Zarathi Empire noticed too. Their Supreme Admiral was angry and afraid. He started gathering the biggest fleet in the Empire's history to destroy this new human weapon.
Supreme Admiral Vextar was furious. 1 human ship had destroyed 6 of his best cruisers. This could not happen again. He called every Zarathi fleet from across the galaxy. Over 200 warships gathered near the solar system. 5 massive dreadnoughts led the attack force. At the center was his own flagship, the World Breaker. Blake watched the enemy fleet approach on his screens. He had never seen so many ships in one place. The Harbinger was powerful, but could it fight against such huge numbers? His crew looked worried. They were just 1 ship against an entire armada. The battle began in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. The Zarathi ships spread out in a wide circle around the Harbinger. Vextar wanted to attack from all sides at once. No ship could survive fire from 200 vessels. The alien admiral gave the order. Every Zarathi ship fired at the same time. Thousands of laser beams and missiles flew toward the Harbinger. The space around the human ship filled with deadly light. But the Harbinger's shields held. The blue energy barrier absorbed every shot. The alien weapons could not break through. Blake smiled. The ship was stronger than he had hoped. Torres had been studying the ship's systems while they traveled. She found something amazing. The Harbinger could share its shields with other ships. It could also give power to their weapons. She told Blake about her discovery. Blake called the remaining human fleet. 20 ships had survived the war so far. They were small and weak compared to the Zarathi vessels, but with the Harbinger's help, they might have a chance. The human ships moved close to the Harbinger. Blue energy flowed from the prototype to cover all of them with powerful shields. Their weapons began to glow brighter as they received extra power. Hull fired the plasma cannons while the battle raged around them. Each shot destroyed an enemy ship. The Harbinger moved through the Zarathi fleet like a predator hunting prey. Foster flew the ship in impossible patterns that confused the alien gunners. Then Torres activated a new system she had found. The ship disappeared and appeared instantly on the other side of the battle. It could create small holes in space to jump anywhere it wanted. The Zarathi ships could not keep up with the Harbinger's speed and tricks. One by one, their vessels exploded under the deadly plasma fire.
Most of the Zarathi fleet was destroyed, but the biggest ship still remained. The Worldbreaker was huge and covered with thick armor. Supreme Admiral Vextar refused to give up. He wanted to face the human ship alone. The two massive vessels circled each other in space. Both ships were badly damaged from the long battle. Sparks flew from broken systems on the Harbinger's bridge, but Blake and his crew were not ready to quit. Vextar fired first. Giant red beams shot from the Worldbreaker's main guns. They hit the shields of the Harbinger and made them flicker. The human ship shook from the impact. More warning lights came on across the bridge. Blake ordered Hull to return fire. Blue plasma beams struck the alien flagship. Pieces of armor flew off into space, but the Worldbreaker was still fighting. It had the thickest hull of any ship in the Zarathi fleet. The two ships traded shots for several minutes. Each blast weakened both vessels. Torres worked hard to keep the Harbinger's shields running. Foster tried to find a better position to attack from. Then Blake made a decision. He told Torres to put all power into the weapons. Every bit of energy the ship could make would go into one final shot. It was dangerous. If this did not work, they would have no power left to defend themselves. The Harbinger's plasma cannons glowed brighter than ever before. The energy built up until the whole ship hummed with power. Hull aimed carefully at the Worldbreaker's main reactor. Blake gave the order to fire. The plasma beam that shot out was bigger and brighter than anything they had used before. It hit the alien flagship and went straight through its armor. The Worldbreaker exploded in a massive ball of fire and light. The explosion was so big that it created an energy wave. The wave spread out and hit all the remaining Zarathi ships. Their systems stopped working, and they drifted helplessly in space. Oracle spoke to Blake as the battle ended. She told him the final secret. The alien technology in the Harbinger came from an ancient race that had fought the Zarathi Empire long ago. These old enemies had defeated the Empire once before. The Zarathi survivors sent a message asking for peace. Their great fleet was gone. They knew they could not win against humanity's new weapon. Blake looked out at Earth and smiled. The war was over. Humanity had won.